Hi, this is Val from Hihu, where we look back at games from the past and see how they hold up to current industry standards and trends. Today we look at Dragon Age 2, a Tolkien-esque squad-based third-person fantasy RPG made by BioWare in 2011. This is the second in the Dragon Age series, and if you haven't already, check out my review of the first game in the series, Dragon Age Origins. I'll leave a link in the description. BioWare has made many RPG games loved by gamers, such as Mass Effect and KOTOR. RPGs have always been popular, and this year has seen the release of quite a few new RPG games. But this game came out almost 6 years ago, though when compared to modern mechanics, level design and story, how does it hold up almost 6 years on? I'm gonna say quite well, however it's in the uncomfortable position of being compared to Dragon Age Origins. A number of components have been changed and simplified. The wit has been changed, it's still funny, but it's more of a snarky humour of schoolboys rather than the dry humour of the first. As EA didn't learn from KOTOR 2, Dragon Age 2 was given rather a short development time frame, and a lot of the problems in this game I would blame on this. The combat, micromanagement and menus, which I expressed in my Origins review, may have presented a barrier to some, have been simplified, but in my opinion a bit too much. I barely had a look at my journal, and I don't even think I opened my codex. I miss being able to customize my companion's gear to fulfill a role. Dragon Age 2 is a tale told by one of your companions, Varric, who has been captured by religious zealots and forced to tell the tale of the champion. That's you. You begin by creating a character, either a male or female human, named something Hawk. Unlike Origins, no matter the choice you make, you get the same start, running from the Blight. You end up in Kirkwall and the Free Marches, and this is where most of the story takes place. There isn't a clear storyline in this game, unlike the first game. There isn't a clear goal like stop the collectors, as in Mass Effect 2. It's just a hero mucking about for 30 or so hours. There are 3 acts that are barely connected, and it only really gets world-changing in the last one. The story is a whole lot more linear when compared to the first, the locations are less interesting and often repeated. You'll find that everyone in Kirkwall bought their house from the same architect, and the only difference between them is the locked doors. You will go to the same warehouse quite a few times to clear out a never-ending parade of tosspots. All the caves are the same no matter the location. They try to cover this up by inserting you in different spots, but it's all the same. As Kirkwall is the only city you go to, it's a bit boring. There's barely anyone there, and it looks a bit bland. Story-wise, this place is supposed to be overpopulated, but it's as if all the people in the city go, "Oh shit, the protagonist is coming, hide!" And only the brave ones remain, too petrified to have normal conversations or move. There is little interaction with the other races, apart from the Qunari. You don't really experience the different societies as you did in the last one. The only cultural exchange is killing them. As in Dragon Age Origins, you will collect a following of companions. These companions are well written and likeable, but less interesting than developed than the ones in the first. You can still go on quests for them, and there's a lot more of these quests in this iteration. Romance is alive and well, but the sex scene is a fade to black instead of the Team America-esque sex scene from the first. Storytelling is still the game's biggest highlight, and it is an interesting tale. This is mostly told through player-driven conversations, and through Varric being the narrator. This time around your character is fully voiced, and this adds a bit to your immersion as the character from the first game kinda just stood there blank-faced. But it also removes you from the conversations a bit, as your character conducts these conversations with less input from the player. The conversation tree is gone, replaced by the conversational wheel from Mass Effect. You are now given 3 options: diplomatic response, the witty response, and the aggressive response. I mainly went with the witty response, as I felt that the diplomatic response was far too wussy, and the aggressive response was uncaring. This meant that the role-playing that I enjoyed in the first game was removed. I was just constantly picking the witty response instead of considering my options. This was further enforced by the lack of description of what you were going to say, sometimes leading to unexpected results. That's not to say that I still didn't enjoy the conversations. I did laugh at the schoolboy humour my character often spouted, and the responses from the unimpressed people I was talking to. I found that the world started to comment on my choices during these conversations. For example, a demon told me that because I'm witty, I was been feeding him, making him more powerful. I would expect this would be true for the other conversation options as well. In Dragon Age 2, there is a friendship mechanic, where depending on what you say and do throughout the game will affect what your companions think of you. Similar to the friendship mechanics from the first game, however in this game there is added rivalry mechanics that get filled if the character doesn't like your decisions. You have to fill this friendship or rivalry bar to ensure that the companion will fight with you in the finale, similar to the loyalty system in Mass Effect. If you have a companion which doesn't have this filled and you choose the option they disagree with, you will have to fight them and kill them during the last battle. I found this really dumb, as a character that hates you will fight for your cause just because you piss them off enough. What's that about? It's like if Anne Frank teamed up with Hitler to gas some Jews just because he really believes in it. I also found it hard to max these out in companions that I didn't use that often in combat. There is no place you can go to view all your companions at once, like the camp in Origins. You have to call in the companions companions that you didn't use that often to check their equipment, level them up, and check their friendship meter. You also need to go to each character's house to have conversations, adding to the total load time of this game. This isn't that bad, but it bugged me that I wasn't able to just do this in one place. In terms of combat, it plays relatively the same as Origins on PC. All the controls are the same and it still plays a lot like WoW. However, I felt that the tanks were less effective at holding aggro. There are better combat animations, making my rogue into a fast flippy thing that tore opponents apart. The combat is significantly easier, I only died about 3 times on medium difficulty, and they fixed that checkpoint problem by the way. There was little need to use the tactical options at your disposal. In some of the loading screens it told me I should think about the placement of my troops, and use bottlenecks to protect my mages. But in practice this never worked, as the game would just teleport in another mob of baddies to behind me. The option to change the character's AI is vastly improved. It gave me ample slots to program my companions and was really well done. However, I still needed to program them to drink potions. I found I was able to issue commands without the need to pause most of the time. This really made the combat flow. I really liked the combat despite my annoyances with my constantly dead mages. The micromanagement with your companions has been lessened, as you can't assign armor to them, only trinkets and weapons. You are able to find or buy upgrades to their armor, but I usually miss them, and they didn't really do that much, as Anders still died every second fight. The ability is a bit different now, they are grouped into ability trees instead of the linear progression from the last game. Most activated abilities have upgrades such as faster cooldowns and lasting effects, like making targets brittle. These effects can be taken advantage of by other classes to do extra damage, creating cross-class combos. You no longer spend points on abilities such as lockpicking or poison making, and some of these skills have been moved, such as the lockpicking skill being related to your cunning attribute, and some have been removed completely, such as trap making. Dragon Age 2 is only available on Origin, which can be purchased for $20. It's also available on Origin Access, but it doesn't have the DLC, which I think is worth getting, if only to get out of bloody Kirkwall for a few hours. Despite Dragon Age 2 being the worst game in the series, it's still a pretty good game, and definitely worth checking out. If you enjoyed the first game, you probably have already played this one and was disappointed with it like I was, but maybe come back to it and give it another go. If you didn't like Dragon Age Origins, maybe this game is more your style. This has been Val reviewing Dragon Age Origins for Hihu. Let me know what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching.